Welcome back to another bonus episode of Big Business. Just in case you didn't know, I come out with 2 episodes every single week. I have my main episodes and then these little bonus ones. Someone said to me the other day, it's not long enough, but my bonuses are just little mini ones. And by the way, I am recording at home today, and right now my dog Sneaky is walking past. So if you can hear some little tippy tapping toes throughout this episode, that is exactly why. Hello, Sneaky. Anyway, I am on TikTok live as I speak right now. I've got 448 people watching, and I thought I'm going to get everyone to send in some random business related questions, and I'm going to answer them on the pod. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. I feel overwhelmed, but this is also really exciting. Okay, let's go. Oh my God, there's actually so many questions. Okay, how would you describe the Fate aesthetic in 3 words? I would say easy, everyday basics. By the way, everyone, the questions have to be kind of business related, so no personal questions. Okay, Jess says, years into Fate, what are your biggest business hurdles to get past? I would say that my biggest business hurdles... Oh, Sneaky's walking around again. This is really a flop of an episode. I would say in all of these years at Fate, the biggest hurdles that I have had to face and deal with and get through would definitely have to be people-related issues. There's a lot of issues that you will run into with business no matter what, from financial to stock, freight, shipping, logistics, product issues. But I would say the hardest challenge in business is dealing with people, especially if your business is growing bigger and you're adding more and more people into your business. What once started out as me just working at home with AJ helping and 1 casual employee, we now have 70 people to look after. And when you're dealing with 70 different people who are all completely unique and they all have different wants and needs and emotions, that's where, for me, the most amount of challenges lie. Because I've said this a billion times on my pod before, like you just always feel like you can't make everyone happy, but I think you've got to be realistic with these kinds of things and remind yourself at the end of the day, like, I'm just a girl, I'm just one person. But yeah, that's where I have faced most of my challenges in business. It's with dealing with people and just trying to please everyone constantly, and also look after yourself and protect your own wants and needs and mental health. Okay, the next question is, how have you found the US market affect your business? Now, I'm not 100% educated on all the tariffs and everything, but I have been seeing a lot of that on the news and all over the internet. It hasn't really affected us at all, and the reason for that is because I don't have a large customer base in the US. So I guess I'm lucky in a way that this doesn't impact me in the slightest. We have a few customers in the US who will order with us, but I've never set myself up in the US. So for example, if I wanted to, I could run ads in America, like I could run my Meta Facebook ads over in the US. And I could even set up a warehouse in the US or work with a 3PL, which is basically a company that holds your stock and sends your orders out for you. So that way it gets to people really quickly rather than us shipping from Australia, but we don't have a 3PL or a warehouse over there. So whenever someone from America orders with us, we ship it from our warehouse here in Australia. Thankfully, this hasn't affected my business, but I really do feel for everyone's businesses that have been affected by the tariffs, because it seems absolutely wild. Okay, the next question is, what was a massive lesson or mistake learnt to date? Ooh, okay. This is a good question because I truly believe, and I've said this a lot on the podcast before, I think in business, there's no real such thing as mistakes, but there's definitely lessons, which you had in your question. Even if you make a massive mistake, you can just take it as a lesson. And I truly believe that the only way that you can grow and learn in business is by making mistakes and learning better for next time. No one goes into business knowing exactly what to do. Even if you've got like a business mindset and you're an entrepreneur and you're a go-getter, you go in absolutely clueless. And it's only by trying things out, trying something one way and then making a mistake and thinking to yourself, okay, next time I'm going to do it this way or that way. I feel like that's how you learn in business. So really, for the last 7 or more years that I have been running Fate, I've made every mistake that there is to make. In the early days, one of the biggest ones that I did, but again, at the time, it wasn't a mistake, was hiring friends and family. Because back then, my mind was so small around my business that I only thought small. I thought it was easy for me to just hire friends and family because I wasn't taking my business very seriously. When now reflecting on that, I should have taken my business more seriously and hired people who were serious about my business as well. But again, I have no regrets around any of the mistakes, in quotation marks, that I made and will continue to make because I know that I'm only going to continue to grow from it as a business owner. Where did the iconic Fate name come from? Great question. I think I might have already answered this in an episode ages ago, but just to answer it in a nutshell again, I remember so vividly, this would have been 8 or 9 years ago that I come up with the name Fate. And I remember thinking to myself back then, I was in my early 20s, I was absolutely clueless, but all I knew back then was I don't want this brand to have my name in it. Because back then we were seeing a lot of Brittney's boutique and Brittney Saunders watches, and for some reason back then I thought I don't want my name to be in it because I guess I thought this is going to be separate to me one day, maybe. And so I sat there on my lounge, on my laptop in a note, and I still wish I had the note, but it was about 10 laptops ago, so it's well and truly gone. And I just started writing down a lot of words that meant something to me. And fate was one of the top ones. I'm a believer in all things happening the way they're meant to and things just working out no matter what. And so I landed on that word. It was short, it was simple. And the only reason that I changed the spelling was because, again, I was in my early 20s. I was clueless. I had no idea about trademarking or anything like that. But I thought, I better spell it differently just in case someone tries to come after me. And that's how I put the Y in there, like a silent Y. And that's how the name came to be. And to this day, people still think that it's called Fat. But that's just another story in itself. And I think that stems from a lot of internal fat phobia. But we'll leave that at that. What do you wish people knew more about running a fashion label? I actually did a recent episode called Secrets of the Fashion Industry or something along those lines. If you haven't listened to that one, go and give it a listen. But if I had to pick one thing, it would be just how long it takes to make one thing. And this doesn't apply just to fashion. It's anything. If you're making it accessories, bags, shoes, skincare, if you're making anything, it takes a really long time to make one item from design all the way through production to finish and at your door. And when we live in this world of this instant gratification and we order something online on Amazon and we get it the next day, we're kind of all living in this world of wanting something instantly. And it's really frustrating. It's a great thing to have your community be like, make this top in pink, or you should come out with a range of XYZ. But just how long that actually takes to happen is crazy. And I've done a whole episode about it where I talk about how long it takes to make something. So be sure to listen to that one if you haven't already. Next question. I love this question. Do you feel a lot of pressure having so many overheads with warehouses, stores, and employees, etc.? Yes, I would say that I do. But I think, thankfully, I'm not one to get easily overwhelmed, or I think I have a very calm nature. Not that I'm a nature person, but I think that's definitely helped me a lot in my business journey, is that I'm a very cool, calm, and collected person. And I think that's one thing that would probably surprise people if they were to get to know me in real life. Obviously, on my social media videos and everything, it's very funny and high energy and crazy. And that's because I want to entertain people and have fun and grab their attention. But in real life, I would say I'm very calm, and that has really helped me in my business journey and having so much pressure all at once. And also, in saying that, I've signed myself up to every single thing. I've signed myself up to having 70 employees. I have signed myself up to having 5. Okay, what leases do I have? I've got 5 stores, so that's 5 commercial leases there. That's an insane amount. And then we've got our office and our warehouse. So there's 7 leases within Fate. And then we have our cafe as well. So that's 8 leases that I have that I am committing to paying. And yeah, if you want to take a step back and look at it in that way, that is very stressful and overwhelming, and having to pay so many people and superannuation, like all of those things are extremely, like they will put an extreme amount of pressure on anyone. But at the end of the day, like I love doing what I do, and I signed myself up for all of this. Like no one has ever forced me to take the risks that I have. And I definitely have those moments where I go, oh my God, am I cut out for this? And I have definitely had moments where I've been tested, you know, whether it's by staff or whoever, and it's made me, you know, think, am I fucking cut out for this? But at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing, and I'm confident in what I'm doing, and I've been confident in every decision that I've made up until this point in my career. And I feel like I have an amazing community that backs me through every step of all these crazy decisions that I make. So yeah, I do feel pressure, and it is stressful, but I always say nothing good comes easy. And if it was this easy, then everyone would be doing it. So that's what I always remind myself when I'm having a stressful time, or someone's testing me, or something's freaking me out financially, is like, this isn't meant to be easy. If this was easy, every second person would be doing it. So that's what I always remind myself of. Someone in the live chat just said, can you talk more about your cafe? I've got a whole episode on the cafe. If you want to jump over to my podcast, which I'm recording right now, I've done a whole episode talking about how we started the cafe, how it came to be, what it's like running a cafe. So go and listen to that if you would like. Sammy asks, what was your favorite and hardest thing about writing a book? My favorite thing about writing my book, which is available for pre-order right now, by the way, in case you didn't know, my favorite thing would be how awesome it was to reflect on my whole life. I don't have a diary or a journal or anything like that, and I don't go to therapy. Probably should. I feel like everyone can benefit from going to therapy, but the more and more I started writing, the more that I liked it, and I felt like I was writing in a diary. And because in the book, I go back to the very beginning, like when I was a kid, to write out all of my thoughts and feelings from my whole childhood and teenage years. That was my favorite part, I would say, just how therapeutic I found the experience. And even if you like have no plans of writing a book, I would say pretend that you're writing a book and write the first chapter about your life, because it was a really therapeutic experience. And I don't know what the other part of the question was. Well, the hardest part, I would say the hardest part was finishing it and being okay with the fact that that's the part where it finished. Because I wrote it over 2 years, so much happened in my life in those 2 years that I kept going back over the book and changing my thoughts on things, because as we grow, our thoughts and opinions on everything changes. So I found myself going back again and changing this chapter and changing that, and then I would add another chapter in because so much more happened. So the hardest part was just going, okay, I'm going to end the book here, even though I've got a lot more to say. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, if people like this enough, then maybe one day I can come out with a second one and then I can continue the story again. So yeah, that was the hardest part. Just pulling the pin and saying, okay, it's done, because you could just keep adding to it forever. Kirsty asks, how do you prepare yourself for switching off your business head when you go on holidays? Great question. I actually have another episode. I feel like all the questions everyone's asking I've answered in random other episodes, but I have an episode where I talk about suffering with guilt when it comes to taking time off or a holiday when you're a business owner, because that's something that I've struggled with a lot over the last 7+ years, is just feeling a lot of guilt if I ever go on a holiday. And I'd say for people that work as hard as AJ and I have, we definitely haven't taken anywhere near enough holidays in the last 7 years as we should have. But how do I prepare myself? from a work standpoint, I obviously just make sure that all my work is done. I make sure that my team are feeling confident that I can step away. And I always reassure them that they can contact me at any time if they need. I would never want my staff to feel like, oh, she's just gone. Because I always want to make myself available. So I feel a lot more confident now because we have such a strong team and a strong leadership team that I feel like I can take time off. And I think when I'm on a holiday, it's just trying to switch off, because when you're a business owner, it's just go, 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 go. The brain doesn't stop. So even if I'm, laying by a pool with a cocktail, I'm on my phone on Instagram, writing back to everyone or in my emails. So I think it's just being really mindful with actually being present with the holiday that you're on and not feeling guilty that you're away from work, because as business owners, we deserve to have a break. And just doing what you need to do when you're on a holiday, whether that's completely switching off or checking your emails every day just to make yourself feel good. Haley asks, do you think you would ever sell Fate? Maybe, but not right now. I've had offers for people to take ownership of more than 50% of it, and I've declined politely. I explored the conversations, but who knows? I don't know what I'm doing next year, let alone in 5 or 10 years. So never say never. I would love to say no, I'll never sell it, but also maybe I will one day, because one day the business is going to end. Do I want to be there for the end of the business? Who knows? But that's a hard question to answer, but I'm not looking at selling it anytime soon, really, or ever. I'd love to try and keep Fate going for my entire lifetime. Someone said, why is the business going to end? Because every business ends. Every single business. It's pretty rare to create a generational business that gets passed down through generations. You do hear those stories and they are amazing, and I can only hope and try to do that. But most businesses don't make it to the 3-year mark in Australia. So we're at 7.5 years now, which is amazing. But all businesses do come to an end at some stage, unfortunately. And I'm going to wrap up today's episode with one final question, which is, did you buy Gaga tickets today? I'll answer one non-business question at the end of this episode. And the answer is no, I didn't get Gaga tickets. I was talking to my friends and we were on there trying to get them, but they all sold out by the time we got through. So I didn't get any, but I think there's plenty of other opportunities to get them. So I'll try again. But anyway, hopefully this episode has worked. This has been so fun to record an episode while I'm live. I felt so much pressure to talk fluently, with no stuff-ups, but I think I did a good job. Did I do a good job? Who's been listening this whole time? But yeah, this has been fun. And Xander, I hope I get your tick of approval that I've answered these questions on live. But that's all for today's bonus episode of Big Business. And everyone's saying, yeah, so cool. You did incredible. Oh, thanks everyone. Maybe I need to do all of my podcasts live with an audience. Oh, this has been so fun. So thank you for listening to this very rogue and exciting episode of Big Business. And I'll be back in your ears next week with my main episode. And in the meantime, don't forget, you can stay up to date with me on socials. And if you want to send me a DM to my Big Business Podcast Instagram account, because I'm on there. Producer Xander is on there in the DMs, and that's where we see all of your messages. So if you have a question you'd like me to answer, if you have a workplace dilemma, if you have some tea you want to spill, anything, Xander is here for the tea. He's like, give us the workplace tea. Send us a DM on there. Anyway, that's all for now, and thanks for joining.